Welcome to the Runna Podcast. I'm Ben, head coach.
And I'm Anya, international marathon runner. And we're proud to be the #1 rated running coaching service worldwide.
We'll be having truly insightful conversation with truly inspirational guests, as well as bringing you tips and tricks for runners of all abilities. Hello and welcome to the Runna Podcast. Today we have something a little different and a little special. We are 48 hours away from one of the biggest weekends in marathon running. We've got London Marathon coming up, Manchester, we've just had Boston. So with that in mind, we are going to run through all of our top tips. We've got 8 top tips, 4 from me, 4 from Anya. And with that in mind, let's get straight into it. Anya, what is your first tip?
Yeah, sure. I think one of the questions I get asked most is about carb loading and what to eat 48 hours before the race. Hopefully you've started carb loading already, but there's still time to top up those glycogen stores at this point. If you're listening to it as soon as the episode goes live, it's Friday. So for dinner tonight, it's probably, or all day, it's probably one of the most important days to get as many carbs in as possible. You want to top up your glycogen stores so that when you go into the race, you're completely topped up. And then with each gel, you can just top them up a bit more and you never go into that carb depletion kind of state. Have as many carbs as you can. I don't think you need to increase the meal size too much. It's more like at this point, make sure 80% of your meals are carbs. I also try to avoid fiber too much, less protein, less fiber, the simple, boring food like rice, pasta, bagels, bread, but ultimately whatever works for you.
Nice. And attached to that, one of the things people ask about kind of fueling as well is maybe when to start taking their gels. Will you take a gel on the start line?
Yeah, so I will, have a gel on the start line. There's also one less thing to carry going into the race. And then I'll try and have a gel every 25 minutes throughout the race.
Very, very exciting. And I guess like attached to fueling, you've got hydrating.
Yeah, so London Marathon especially is set to be quite warm this weekend. So I'm really prioritising hydration the next few days so that I need to take on less water in the actual race. We all know how hard it is to take sips out of those plastic cups. So you can perfect the kind of like squeeze into a triangle, make a little funnel to get it down. But you just want little sips often in the race. You don't want to become dehydrated. It's going to be hot out there. You're spending a lot of hours with like direct sunlight on your head. So just be careful. But I'm going to be having lots of electrolytes the next few days to really, stay hydrated and to top up those sodium levels, because sodium and salt is what will sweat out. I think that's really important because you don't want to just have water, because that will actually dilute your sodium levels. So yeah, that's really important.
Yeah, I agree. And not only having maybe some electrolytes over the kind of like next 48 hours, also think about maybe putting a little bit more salt on your food, or don't be afraid to kind of like steer towards saltier options. Or if you're having some potatoes or chips, whatever it's going to be, put some extra salt on them and really don't worry too much about that. And then maybe just attached to like taking on water within the course as well. The last thing you want to do is like neck your cup of water and then choke on it and you go coughing. And I've done that far too many times. So the thing I always try and do is take a big deep breath in, exhale, and then I'm ready to drink my glass and then return to breathing. And I think if you're trying to breathe because you're out of breath and drink, sometimes you breathe in the water, which then makes you choke, and then you're really out of breath. You cough the water up, you don't actually hydrate, and you feel miserable. So see if you can almost get ahead of the breathing, big deep breath in. Now you can take your sip, and then swallow, and then return to breathing. And almost see if you can think about that can be really helpful. Yeah. And then the other thing is, like Anya mentioned, if it's sunny, when you're doing a race, you've had your glass of water, and there's maybe still plenty of cups left, plenty of distance of aid station to go through. Get an extra cup and pour it on the backs of your arms, the backs of your hands. So the places we lose our heat from are our feet, our hands, and our head. You don't want to go pour a glass of water on your feet, or you get wet, heavy shoes and socks, you're going to get some blisters. Your head, Gene, is probably wet and sweaty anyway. You could pour some water on your head, but the best one really is just to pour water down the backs of your arms, on the backs of your hands. And that will really like help cool you down, make you feel a little bit more refreshed, but it will also help keep your body temperature lower, which will then help you to perform really nicely.
Yeah, excellent advice. Do you have another tip for us?
So this one would be about planning everything so that you have nothing left to stress about. Plan your outfit. I'm sure some of you have been planning your outfit for weeks and months, but you might be a bit more like me who probably doesn't think about that. The day before, lay out all your clothes and make sure you know what socks, what shoes, how you're going to pin your number onto you. Are you using pins? What are you doing? Make sure you have all your gels, have your bottles laid out, you have your bag that you're taking to the start, every last detail, and attached to that, your heart rate monitor, your watch. Have you charged your watch? Are you going to be wearing different shoes to get to the start line? All of these last things, plan them out the night before, so there's one less thing that you can forget to wear and bring to the start line. And attached to that, not only do you want to plan all of those items and the physical things you need to bring, make sure you know the way that you're getting to the start. Like, is the normal route that you're going to take going to be closed, and instead you need to adjust that. And I think the last thing we want to have is we want to stress around and run to catch the bus and exhaust ourselves and have this extra stress, or maybe not have enough time to go to the toilet at the start. So plan all those last little logistical pieces. Hopefully it means you can put your feet up, you can go to bed and not have too much stress, and it can all go as smoothly as possible in the morning. And you've got enough to worry about running a marathon, so hopefully minimizing any of those last minute stresses will be really valuable as well.
Yeah, and for London Marathon, there's obviously 3 different start lines that all meet about 5k in, so make sure you know which one you're going to, because it might be different from your mate.
Yeah, so therefore don't just follow blindly the herd of people going one way, or if you see everyone getting off the bus or off the train, don't necessarily just follow them. Make sure you know what you're doing, because it might be different to everyone else around you. Nice. Right, Anya, you're up next.
Yeah. The thing I like to do the morning of the race is write my splits on my arm. And what I mean by that is know what pace I'm going out at. And at London Marathon, there isn't a marker every kilometre. I think it's every mile and every 5 kilometre. So I write down what time or what pace, like, so if it's like 18 minutes, 20 minutes, what time I want to go through 5k in, 10k in, 15k in, 20k in, so on and so forth, so that if the GPS drops out and 1 kilometre is off, I get the whole picture of that 5k, and I find that really useful. And I also put little asterisks next to the ones where I'm going to take gels, just to remind me to fuel. The other one is I circle where I'm going to see my family and friends, so that's something else I can like count down and look forward to. And it's like all the oxygen in your body is going to your muscles because you're working so hard. So it is really hard to think in the race. So having it like all on your arm just to check, you'll forget where you said to meet your mum. You'll forget all of this. So yeah, having it there is really good and really useful.
You must have really long arms to get all of this information on there.
Yeah, it does extend the whole way down. And then I like to put something on my hand, just a final little like confidence boost for when I really need it, that says something like, you're strong, you're in control, relax, smile, just things like that to, really help me rally when I need it. Nice.
And I think like attached to the kind of like the point around the GPS is that you'll very easily be able to know whether your watch is absolutely spot on or whether it's actually a little bit typically behind. And the reason for that is that our watch is going to be having some GPS inaccuracies. You're probably not running the most flawless path because there's so many people, you might be taking slightly wider turns, and also GPS is a technology that's inherently not that accurate. So when you go through the 5k mark on the course, I would have 100% confidence that that is at 5k. But if your watch is saying 5.1 or 5.2k, it actually means that you're running a little slower than your watch is telling you, that's exactly what Anya's kind of implying. And it's really important that you know that, particularly if you're really set on getting a particular time or whatever it's going to be, because imagine you're dead set on breaking the 4-hour mark and you're running exactly at a 5:40 kilometer pace, but then you go through the 20k mark and actually your watch is telling you that you're only at, or that you're at 20 and a half. It actually means you're running a little bit slower. So it's really helpful information for you to know. So that way you can just kind of do that maths on the go, either look at the numbers on your arm and adjust that way, or almost start to do a little bit of that mental math, work out that, your watch said you hit 20k 30 seconds before you ran past the 20k mark. Therefore, there's 30 seconds of error, and you kind of need to speed up by 30 seconds to make up for that GPS error. In reality, it's probably not that deep, and we're not driven by exactly a 30-second window, and we should just be running the best that we can, and arbitrary numbers that we invent don't matter too much. But obviously I know that does motivate so many of you, so it's worth being able to understand that and be able to do a little bit of the maths on the go, and whether writing on your arm or being able to work it out as you go, understanding that point is going to be very, very helpful.
Yeah, amazing. Let's have another point from you, Ben.
Cool. Tip number 4. So Anya alluded to it already, but it's really important to plan your fueling strategy. We should be hopefully looking to have kind of 60 grams of carbs an hour or more. And with this in mind, we want to know when we're taking on our gels or whatever it is we're using to fuel ourselves. And attached to that, some of us may well do so at a distance marker, and some of us may well do so by time. Make sure you know what you're doing and then stick to it. And like Anya said, writing it on your arm could be a really good way to do so. For me, I look to take on a gel every 7K when I'm racing, and I'll have kind of a 40 grams of carbs per gel that I'm consuming. And it helps me mentally break up the course. I'm also, I think, quite good at looking at my watch and not getting too distracted. So I don't need to write it down. However, really understand, what your strategy is and stick to it. But then also find a way that you're going to keep yourself accountable to do so. And you can, on some smartwatches, even set them to alert you when to take on a gel as well. So that's an option that you have. And then the other piece attached to your kind of fueling strategy is not just thinking about the carbs, but thinking about things like caffeine. Caffeine's a really, really valuable tool. For some of us, again, if we haven't, when I say again, we've probably covered this a lot of time, but we shouldn't be doing anything new. So if you never have caffeine, don't just suddenly start, or there could be a few accidental toilet trips. But make sure that we know what we're doing with reference to not just our carbs, but our caffeine and any kind of salts as well. So some people may well be taking on kind of salt tabs as they're running to minimize the risk of cramps. Don't do this if you've not done it before. But if you are doing it, make sure you know when you want to be taking on any salts. And then also, some of our gels, we may well want to have caffeine within them. For me personally, I'll have a caffeine gel at the start, and I'll normally have a caffeine gel about halfway round, and then go back to regular carb gels in between those caffeinated gels. But again, think about knowing when we're taking on each of these different pieces alongside the hydrating on the course. And then with that in mind, I want to make sure I know which pocket I have my caffeinated gels versus my normal gels. Otherwise, I'm going to be running around and pulling out a gel and it's a lottery. Oh no, not a caffeinated one. I'm at halfway. I should be having a caffeinated one, putting it back in, and I'm getting distracted. I'm dropping my gels and it's all gone wrong. So it sounds like the smallest little details, but they all really add up. And the more we can get those bits sorted, the less that can go wrong. And the more you just think about putting one foot in front of the other, which is hopefully going to mean that it all keeps going in the right direction.
Yeah, I think fueling's really important. It will just help you not to hit that wall. I always think about cycling, and whoever wins a cycling race is who can take on the most carbs an hour. So I think it's really important. You can see your heart rate starting to drop if you're underfueled. So yeah, to keep your heart rate up and your pace up, you need to take on those gels.
Yep, absolutely. Right, and your takeaway number 5.
Number 5 is study the course map. It's so easy to think that you know London and you don't need to do it, but it's really easy, and it helps with like motivation and keeping you going if you know where you are at each point. So you know that Tower Bridge is halfway, you know where there are those hills, so you know that once you get to the top of there, it's down from there. I think that really helps motivation. And also, I like to put like a treasure map with little X's on it, where my family will be, and so they can take the map out as well. But not just where they'll be, but what side of the road they're at. Again, another thing to count down, another thing to look forward to. But yeah, just the more you know about the race, the better, and the more prepared you can be so that there's nothing unexpected that comes your way.
Yeah, I think attached to that, like not only knowing what side of the road your family are going to be, but like spotting your family in some of these big major races can be really hard for you to spot them and then for them to spot you. And it's obviously going to be so valuable for you and your energy on the course to kind of get that psychological buzz from getting the cheer, the smile, the high five, whatever it's going to be. So make sure they know what you're wearing so they can spot you a mile off and they can be screaming and cheering. So hopefully they help you spot them. Like Anya said, make sure you know if they're going to be on the left or the right hand side of the course, but make sure you know what they're wearing. And there are other little tricks and tips that you can do. The problem is if we tell the whole world and everyone starts doing this, it won't work as well. But like the very best thing you could ever do is to have your family wear like a helium balloon. And like, I know it sounds silly, but imagine that you've got like doing 3 people deep on both sides of the courses for 42 kilometers. And they're somewhere between mile 3 and mile 4. That's a huge number of people. You've got to be scanning the crowd and whatever. If you've got to look out for that one black and white stripy balloon, you're going to spot it. Mm-hmm. And obviously now if everyone goes and wears balloons, it's going to be chaos. But I reckon we don't talk to everyone, so we should be fine. But yeah, balloons, little things like that can be really helpful. Even just like little flags that a mum or whoever it's going to be can wave can make it that much easier. And genuinely, the boost that you get from seeing friends, seeing family is huge. Yeah. So you don't want to miss it. And also you want them to spot you, get your pics or whatever it's going to be as well. So it all adds up as well.
100%. Tip number 6, Ben, take us away.
Great. This one is very simple. We want to be well rested. Hopefully we've tapered, but we also need our sleep. But sleep isn't just about the one night before the race. We want to be well slept, well rested. And typically the night, 2 nights before the race is probably the better one to really dial in and focus on. You're going to be less nervous. It's almost like less important. So get a great sleep on Friday night, get to bed early. Don't hopefully set a too early alarm, and really make sure you can relax and get a full 8+ hours if possible. And then that way there's less pressure on your Saturday night sleep. Admittedly, hopefully we can still get a really good night's sleep on the Saturday, but you may well be lying in bed nervous. You may well have to get up at the crack of dawn to be able to get to the start line on time. So make sure that hopefully over the week or the 2 weeks running up to your marathon, you're having some good sleep. But that night, 2 nights out is probably the most important one. So really look after yourself on that one, and maybe attached to that, have a very restful day on the day before. On the Saturday, it may well be that you can take yourself for a little nap in the afternoon, or try and minimize the time that you're on your feet for, so you're not getting 20,000 steps in the day before the race as well.
Yeah, but don't panic too much if your sleep isn't perfect. Famously, Kipchoge, who I actually saw in the park this morning doing his shakeout, but famously he didn't sleep for more than 2 hours before he did a sub 2 hour attempt, so you should be all right.
I reckon he's running around telling everyone that he saw Anya Culling this morning. But yeah, I mean, also, don't put pressure on yourself to nap. I can never nap. I think my brain runs at 100 miles an hour. So if I have the time to nap before a race, I can't do it. But just lie in bed and watch a Netflix or scroll on your phone. And even just getting off your feet, resting, relaxing is going to be really powerful and really helpful.
Yeah, definitely. Tip number 7.
Right, your last one, Anya. Go, take us away.
Yeah, my last one is make sure you know your race strategy and make sure you stick to it. At the start of the race, especially London Marathon, sorry, I'm talking about London rather than Manchester and all the other ones. It's just because I'm doing London.
You didn't mention that.
The start is slightly downhill for the first 5K. So if you've got a pace you want to sustain for the whole race, it might be slightly faster at the start. Try and hold back and don't get caught up with all the craziness at the start of the race where everybody just sprints off. But if it is slightly faster, I would just consciously pull back, between 5 and 10K back, because you just don't want to push too hard too soon. You want to get to Tower Bridge feeling great before you push on. Yeah, make sure you know if you're planning to equal split it, keep the same pace throughout, or try negative split it. We've discussed this in the podcast before, but often if you aim to negative split, it might not look like that on your Strava graph, but because you've upped the ante, upped your effort in the second half, you've been able to keep that equal split rather than accidentally slowing down. So that's really important. Yeah, just make sure you know your pace. And also on the marathon websites, you should be able to see where the paces are, and there might be a nice pack for you to be in with your goal time in mind.
Yeah, and I think attached to that as well, like you said, going out too fast is so often tempting. And fundamentally, if you can run a marathon, you can run 10K. You definitely can run 10K, and probably running 10K at a pace you can do for marathon, it's going to feel really easy. So don't get lulled into a full sense of security. You're 10K in, this is feeling so easy. You've tapered, you're fueled, everything's going great. Let's dial it up from 10 to half marathon. Stay calm, stay relaxed. At the half marathon point, you'll have a better gauge of how you're doing. You've now got to do that all over again. Keep it steady. Only let yourself ever so slightly speed up, and really wait till maybe 30, 32K in. And that's the point where it's going to get really hard. So if you're still feeling great at that point, that's when you should really start to kind of crank the gears and speed up if you have anything left. But don't get carried away, and don't crank those gears up after 10K, because you'll be cranking those gears right back down when you get to 30K.
Yeah, a marathon isn't doubly as hard as a half marathon. It is at least 4 times as hard, and the halfway point isn't until that 30K mark. Yeah,
exactly.
What is your last tip for us, Ben?
So should you do a shakeout? And I think this is an interesting question. We host some shakeouts for lots of races. There's a lot of pressure probably to think that's absolutely what you need to do, or maybe that's not what you should do. And I think in reality, the reason why we don't necessarily set you a shakeout run in the Runner app is that it is not necessarily productive or unproductive. It's very much kind of an open area to see what you would like and what feels best for you. I think it is not the best to lie still in cotton wool all day on the Saturday before your race, you're probably more likely to get stiff, you're probably more likely to get nervous, all these different things. It's really important to move your body gently. And with that in mind, it may well be a gentle walk, it may well be some mobility, it may well be a bit of a swim, or a very easy, something like a 5K or a 3-mile run. With that in mind, probably do what feels most natural to you. If you notice that whenever you run, you feel really sore the next day, maybe it's not the best option for you. But if you find that doing something easy like that is exactly what you want, it's also a really good way to take up some time on the day before a race when everything can just feel a bit overwhelming, get a bit nervous, and chat to other people, soak up the excitement and build your adrenaline. So there really isn't a right or a wrong. I like to do it. I'm also happy sometimes not doing one. But it's important just to do some light movement, and I will always make sure I probably spend 10, 20 minutes on the day before any race doing some mobility, and I probably won't go and try and do the splits, but just do some light movement so that I'm feeling nice and fresh as well.
Yeah, I like to do a few strides. They're not for everybody, but I just do like 4 15-second fast runs, not quite all out sprints, but just to get my legs moving a bit quicker. I like to have them feeling like nice and loose for the race.
Nice. I guess the one that we didn't cover was attached to your kind of race outfit, feeling fantastic. I can see some jazzy nails, Anya. Tell us about these.
Looking down the lens of the camera, but for those who are listening just on audio, I like to look good on race day because it makes me feel good, and when I feel good, I run good. So I've gone for some matching nails to match my shoes and match my outfit, and these have lightning bolts on them because I'm going to be fast as lightning on Sunday.
Yeah, and I think like these little things do add up, and I think like if we feel fantastic, we're going to probably run fantastic, and we'll all have our little different things. It might sound silly. I like to clean shave because in my head, it tricks me that I'm probably slightly more aerodynamic and I'll run a little bit faster and the sweat will like fall off me that much quicker. It probably makes absolutely no difference. But if I think I've done that extra last little 1%, there's going to be like nothing holding me back, and that's going to allow me to run to 100%. And so whatever it is for you, you should do that. And it isn't the case that you need to paint your nails like Anya or you need to shave your face. Whatever it is that makes you feel fantastic is what you should do, so that hopefully you have a fantastic day. And I think the most important thing, like I know we're talking a lot about tips to make you go faster or to achieve time. The most important thing with any race is to have a good time. And I think like, and have a good and enjoyable time. And it's hopefully something that you've worked towards for a really long time. And if it's your first marathon, the most important thing is you get round and you smile. When you see your family, like don't be afraid to run over, give them a high five, smile, and it's not going to slow you down. It's not going to any of these things. And I think that the best thing that we can achieve is we get to the finish line with a big smile on our face and hopefully love our running so we can go on to do another one. And I think that's what allows you to be such a strong runner, is that you've done so many races, so many marathons and so much running for so many years, and you're hopefully loving it and going to do so much more. And if you guys can feel that infectious energy with your first marathon or your 10th marathon, you'll go on to run your 11th. So whatever it is that makes you happy, that's what you should do. And that's the number one thing, I think, to have a successful marathon day.
Yeah, so if you're racing this weekend, if you're supporting this weekend, have the best time, enjoy it, run hard, smile even bigger, and we wish you the best of luck.
And if you're in London, come and see us at our Runner Race Hub that is about 2 or 3 minute walk from the finish line, and we'll be there to give you a hug and tell you well done as well. But otherwise, if you're racing this weekend, a huge good luck from me.
You've got this. Good luck.
Today's podcast is powered by Runna. Runna is the #1 rated running coaching service worldwide. And whatever your running goal, whether you're looking to do your first 5K, improve your time over the 10K, or even run a marathon or an ultramarathon, we'll build you the personalized training for you to help you get there and enjoy the process along the way. If you want to download the Runna app, you'll get 2 weeks for free with code podcast25. And if you're already a Runna customer, you can head to the premium offers section where we've got a 15% off discount for you off any of our Runna merchandise.
And if you enjoyed today's episode, please like, share, subscribe. And if you loved it, give us a 5-star rating. And we'll be back next week with another inspiring guest. See you then.